Well, with a new year comes all kinds of opportunities to think about what the current trends are and what questions people are asking about home purchases that will really suit them well today and into the future. So it might be interesting to talk about some of the home trends in 2022.
Let's do it.
We'll do it. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Terry with MVP Realty.
I'm Rich with MVP Realty.
And as promised, we said we would talk today a little bit about home trends in 2022. It'll be interesting to see whether these trends are a continuation of things we've already been seeing buyers ask about and which might have a little bit of a new twist on them.
I think a lot of them have, we've been seeing some of them for a long time, but they are just taking it into a slightly different direction as it evolves, and we'll take a look at that.
Absolutely. Now, this is going to be based on an article that we saw in the winter edition of Realtor magazine, and they named a number of trends, some of which make sense in some parts of the country versus others, and we picked our top 10 out of that article so that we can share the majority of what came across when Realtor magazine put a panel of experts together around the country and put our thoughts into it as it relates to Southwest Florida. So when we get started here, trend number one, you can tell me whether you think this is continuing or evolving, is making sure that there's great access to high-speed internet and what they refer to as the digital technology footprint of a home.
Right.
And why is that important?
Well, I remember a long time ago when we were building one of our homes that I wanted to make sure that every single room was wired with, Cat 5 so that I could get any technology that I wanted into any room. Well, now with Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi getting so much better than what it used to be, there's less of a need for having everything hardwired. Although depending upon what type of work you do at home, and you may still want to have some connection to hardwire. I know I do for some reasons.
Makes sense. And when you talk about work from home, that is one of the underpinnings in the article about why digital infrastructure is just all the more important. Even with some kind of future, maybe hybrid, back to the office, work from home kind of schedule that people have, they do anticipate and expect that there's a work from home component that's going to stay with them.
Right.
And they don't want to sacrifice the connectivity. The article also talks about generationally, people who especially are young, previously perhaps urban residents are now buying homes, right? Young people coming in, and they already have that expectation based on places they've lived or gone to school, and so they want to continue that access. That's something that's sort of a non-negotiable standard, and so older properties that perhaps were not as conducive are not going to necessarily be as high on their priority list. It may be less important to someone who's not working from home anymore, or who doesn't
well, even some of the homes, even some of the homes that may be outside of a community that don't have access to high-speed internet. Those are not going to be favored by people that are still working at home. There's some new communities now that are building in very high 1 gig of internet service that are building into the community right from the start, and obviously that is going to be a very desirable feature.
Right, and that the 1 gig is coming with fiber optics, and as you said, entire towns being wired that way, so that it's not even a conversation. It's just a given, and it's a feature that they are touting in their marketing to attract a whole range of diverse buyers. And we're seeing more and more people say, oh, tell me more about that, take me to that community. And it's quite a positive trend. So that's trend number one, is this digital infrastructure in a home. And maybe to your point, one that has been around, but is just getting reinforced in 2022. Absolutely. Now, how about quality? And I think the article talks a little bit about quality, perhaps over, like sort of size and many things. People might not always need a mega house, but whatever they have, they really want quality.
We've seen that when we've taken people out and they've chosen new construction and even with new construction, their standards have risen. So it used to be the standard countertop was maybe a laminate and all.
Oh, not anymore.
No longer now. They don't even talk about even a lot of the solid surfaces. They want quartz or granite or things.
Right.
Granite is usually a standard now. So, but when we see the people that are picking out their choices, they're going for the higher quality. They're increasing the quality of the cabinets, the flooring, the countertops,
Yes.
all of that. And they may be picking a smaller home to do it, but they're getting in that quality.
It's a really good point. It could be a nod towards saying, hey, this is an investment that I know I'm going to have, and I don't want to have to change out
Right.
in 2 years because I have the cheap carpet or the unattractive kitchen, whatever that might be.
Right.
And I think as a trend we've always seen, kitchens and bathrooms sell properties. And
Sure.
so when those kitchens and bathrooms give off that quality look
Right.
and truly are built with cabinets that you'd want to keep and flooring that's going to appeal to you into the future,
Right.
we see buyers attracted to that. Now, that would also say, besides your new construction point, which is excellent, in a resale community, a community could be in general even 15, 25 years old, but there are certain properties inside those communities where someone has taken the opportunity to really bring the interior up to today's standards
Right.
in terms of quality, color, look, and all of these materials
Right.
that were not even put in homes back then.
They weren't even thought of.
If
right?
you have 2 or 3 or 4 homes in a community for sale, and a few of them have that edge, wow, do we see buyers want to see those first?
Oh, absolutely.
Time on market is down much lower for those,
Yes.
and people can envision themselves living there without it being a major project headache for them
Exactly.
to do the work. So when someone's visualized it for you by already doing it as a seller,
Right.
you're going to get more attention, maybe more on the price. It depends on the location
Right.
and many other things, but wow, quality does seem to create some decision
Oh,
points.
it sure does. And we brought this up in one of our past videos where a lot of times people don't want the big project. So when they walk into your house that's already been done, it's already been, the quality has been put in there, that's, people smile when they see that.
Absolutely. Now, out of our top 10 trends, that was number 2. We moved to number 3, flex space.
Right.
And flex space is perhaps taking on a new meaning as well. It's not just saying I want 3 bedrooms and a den in
Right.
a traditional sense.
Right.
It's maybe 2 or 3 bedrooms, maybe even 4, and a flex space.
Right.
And the flex spaces are being used more creatively, which is one of the points in the article.
That's right. I mean, people are using them for offices because they're still working. Sometimes, if both people are working, they may need 2 offices or at least something big enough for the both of them. They could be used for all types of different hobbies and things that people are doing right now.
Now, people, because they're working from home, want to stay healthy at home. And so I've seen several customers, and the article refers to it, people want exercise space again. They want a yoga room, perhaps, a place where they can do a range of things, and then, to your point, still have opportunity if they need to have a desk in there, or
Right.
to have it be one more place for a pull-out bed or something
Right.
for extra company, but they don't want it to be dedicated to just one function. They want that flexibility.
Sure.
On the other end of the spectrum, from like the yoga room, exercise, and extra company, there are people, I think, doing very creative things to put almost like lounge and bar spaces into their homes, to have almost a pub atmosphere
Right.
for after dinner
You can have-
as people
yeah.
entertain at home.
A little coffee and wine bar and that type of stuff. So it's a lot of fun. People are getting very creative, and some of the rooms that we've seen are really very nice.
Right. So it makes that flex space harder to define, but when you see it, it appeals to people, and they know they can even adapt the uses. So
Sure.
I can see why that made one of the top trends for 2022.
Sure.
Makes sense. So number 4, it is about color tones. And color tones are on a spectrum that's always the pendulum swinging in one direction or another.
Sure. I mean, don't you love the avocado and Harvest
Oh,
Gold?
no.
So, I mean, it's coming back. It's coming back. I'm waiting for it. I have the fridge.
You're ready, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you just keep waiting, and we'll see how that rolls. Maybe 2023 is your year. But in 2022, this article and their experts, the color expert they talked to, said said it's more about tones that relate to nature. That could include off-whites, but it could include softer greens and other earth tones. It's not only the very cool and crisp colors perhaps that we've seen in the last few years, but that soft natural tones will be making a comeback. We'll see.
And some of the paint companies that are out there, they have their little once a month newsletter that comes out with the new trends and colors, and I've been seeing that a lot with the emails that I get about the color of the month.
Right, so we'll keep an eye on that, and it does say, I think, that there's some flexibility again for folks who are going into a home, whether it's a resale purchase or a new home, to really pick out a color palette that works for them.
Sure.
And sometimes people are staying with neutral walls, some kind of fun floors, that higher quality floors, and then they're introducing that color, as people often have, through the decor accents. So it can change easily over time, and you haven't forced the color scheme for life.
Exactly, right. That's
so that
true.
could be a good move right there. So that is going to take us through point number 4, the color tones. So at point number 5, outdoor spaces is one we definitely have talked about a lot, especially being in the Southwest Florida market. And outdoor spaces and increasing flexibility of using outdoor spaces made the list for a top trend of 2022. Are you surprised?
Not surprised at all. And you know, when we take people out and looking for homes, whether it's new construction or an existing, you know, a lot of times, yes, the first thing they do is walk in the kitchen. They want to see the kitchen, but the second thing they do is what's out back. How much covered area do I have? Is there an outdoor kitchen? Is there room for an outdoor kitchen? What about a pool? There's so much interest on what's going on outside. And where maybe in some other parts of the country that might be a second or a third priority, but it's very high over here in Florida.
Absolutely. The trend in the article does speak to things that we've seen in Southwest Florida about people wanting, again, to bring that quality outside. So it could be upgrading the pavers on a lanai, having a nice outdoor floor, really treating it like another room of the house.
And
people
really
are spending more and more time outside since they're spending more time at home in general.
That's right.
They really do want that space to be very functional and have that same look and feel of quality that they want inside the home.
It just adds so much to the livability of the home when you have that space outside that you can go out to anytime you want.
Now, one thing we should bring up here, because pools are such a big component of outdoor living space, especially in Southwest Florida, the article even talks about pools on the rise in terms of interest and importance to people. They've always been of interest to people in our market.
Right.
With the supply chain disruptions that are going on, with even just all the rate of new construction in our area, such a high demand for pools, and it means that sometimes people have to wait. And this is a new phenomenon heading into 22 for our market.
Right.
Even in new construction, we now have multiple new construction communities that are concerned about their ability to deliver on a pool in a timely way, and they've made some policy decisions for now.
Yeah, unfortunately, some builders have decided that they are not going to try to deliver the new home with the pool because it's harder for them to control that. They need to get a CO in order to close on that property, and if the pool isn't ready, they have to sit there and wait. And pool builders are, they're way
booked.
backlogged. Also, the pool equipment, that the filters and heaters and all of that stuff that has to go into the pool, that has also been backlogged and trying to catch up with the market. So unfortunately, for some builders, they've decided that that's not going to be part of it. You can go in afterwards and do it, but we can't deliver the house. Now, most builders are still adding that on there, but hopefully the builders that have decided not to for now, hopefully they'll get back to it soon. But for right now, they can't put link the house with the pool.
That's an important consideration. As you talked about the supply side of it and how busy the builders are, the other consequence of that people should be thinking about going into a home, if you're going to do new construction and put in a pool, or take a home that it has room for a pool and you want to add it, is the price of pools has definitely and significantly changed over what it was a couple of years ago. And so from a budgeting point of view and prioritization of which upgrades to have in a house and how to do it, considering the budget for the pool is something that we can chat with a customer about and try to help them understand what they may be needing to budget for differently than they would have before.
Just like everything else that's gone up, pools have gone up, and pool equipment has
Just
gone
seems
up.
like those round numbers kind of spin up
That's
pretty
right.
quickly
Yep.
with pools.
Yep, hamburgers
So-
gone up and pools have gone up.
Oh, is
That's
that
right.
how
Yep.
that? Well, so let's keep an eye out for that, and let's talk about it when you're getting ready to purchase your home. So that has taken us through point number 5. So we're halfway through the list.
Now, before we get to the rest of these tips, I really want to invite you to subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up.
Point number 6 is one that is not, in my opinion, a new trend. It's a reinforcing trend, and that is the opportunity for a floor plan to offer a first floor primary or master bedroom.
Right. Now, in Florida, most of our homes that we see are on a one floor. They're ranch style homes, and all of the living space is there. There are some that people with larger families, and we're seeing families, a lot of larger families.
Many more
moving
families coming in.
So they need a little extra space, and sometimes the only place you can go is up. We don't have basements, so but having the at least the master on the main floor is usually that's always preferred, and sometimes it's a deal breaker if not.
Right. The one caveat to that, with more families coming into our market, and just as families move, young parents often then have maybe a different priority. They want all the bedrooms on the same floor. So
Right.
that's either a one-story home, or when they choose a two-story home, they don't want a first floor master where they're far away from young children.
Right.
And we've seen that be a consideration even recently, that sometimes it's important for a young family to be able to have all the bedrooms close together so parents can be in proximity and keep an eye on the family in the evening. So that's the only time we really see anybody say to us that they're not preferring a first floor bedroom. And as the article says, in general, homes are challenged if they don't offer a first floor
At
bedroom
least that.
because of the predominant interest
Sure.
in keeping that. And then I think people feel like they can have one floor living, even if they have a loft and extra bedrooms upstairs when company comes.
Right.
It gives a multi-generational visit
You can
a
have-
little privacy and space. If
Sure.
your grown kids come with their family,
Right.
I don't think couples in Florida worry about having them go upstairs,
No,
but they don't want to go up
they
on
don't
an
wanna go
everyday,
up. Right.
everyday
And
level
that could
living
be the flex space
space.
up there. So
Absolutely.
we've seen that where people have had some really cool stuff upstairs where they've been able to use that space, and still have it for whatever else they need on a temporary basis.
That's right. So now as we move through the list, number 7 is open floor plans. Again, I don't think this is a brand new topic by any means, but the article suggests an evolution,
Yes.
that they are not the same open floor plans that look like one big rectangle and everything is just in that open space.
Right.
That's not what they're talking about. They're
Right.
saying it's evolving to a more sophisticated set of floor plans, and that people may use islands to break up and help define space.
Right.
That people want to be able to see living space when they're in, say, a kitchen
Right.
or a food prep area. They don't want it to be isolated. They don't want a closed-off living room,
Right.
but they don't want it to necessarily have a barrel feel
Some type
either.
of a transition from one area to another.
And I think it's a good point that there isn't just one floor plan that suits everybody.
No.
So even among open floor plans, many interesting style choices and differences of what the designers have baked in.
Right.
And we can help people think about what is it they're trying to do in the spaces. So
Right.
we can help them find an open floor plan, but one that has some specific things that really meet their needs and wants.
That's right. Yep.
So it's interesting to see how many of these are maybe continuations and tweaks on trends we've seen even in the last few years.
Right, and an evolution of what we've been seeing.
Absolutely. Now, number 8 is an interesting one because it's not as functional necessarily, but it is about that. It links to me on that quality
Goes
side.
back to the quality.
And that
Absolutely.
is more attractive ceilings.
Yep.
When people come in and they see just sort of either a low ceiling
Oh.
or the old popcorn ceiling,
Right.
they're not really happy.
No, they're not. And low ceiling is a very big issue that we see with people when they walk in and they feel that closed-in feeling. I know in Florida, having the high ceilings is a much more comfortable and atmosphere inside the room.
You have mentioned a couple of times, and it bears repeating, the difference when you have a high ceiling in Florida, where we tend to have a warmer climate in your air conditioning, what the opportunity is for both airflow and where your air conditioning vents are going to be relative to your living space. ceilings? Maybe you can comment on that.
I mean, when you have a lower ceiling and you have those air conditioning vents and you're sitting there at the table or watching TV and you have that air conditioning vent blowing on you because it's only a couple of feet over you, it's not very comfortable. But when you have a nice high ceiling and the heat rises, it goes up there and the air conditioner is on and it's not blowing on you. It's cooling the room, but it's not blowing on you.
I think that is an important consideration. The other part about attractive ceilings is, again, there are so many interesting design elements that are now available.
Sure.
So coffered ceilings and ceilings with very interesting ceiling fans that really become a decor element, not just a functional fan element, lighting in the ceilings, and the different ways that there are trays and rim lighting on trays, and uplit, downlit, not just even traditional can lighting.
Some coffered ceiling, and we're even seeing this in the outdoor spaces, not only in the indoor spaces.
That's a great point. Don't you see some beautiful like bamboo in the ceilings outdoors?
It's really nice.
Nickel gap, anything like that that helps define a space but also adds this element of wow. And so ceilings are not to be overlooked as part of what you can do even after the fact in terms of remodeling a home and making it look just really up to current standards and very attractive.
It's an inexpensive feature to add to the house.
That's great. Now, trend number 9, as we're starting to get to the end of our list, is an interesting one, and for the most part I see this, but I do see some exceptions always, and that is that there is a trend toward people having homes and being very satisfied with homes that are 2,000 square feet or even a little bit less. So the mega size home may not be what somebody's looking for, and those homes at 2,000 or so square feet can be in very high demand. And so you have to really look in each community about what the supply is. Those homes go quickly, and there may not always be the number of choices that people would have otherwise been looking for, all looking for the same sort of size tipping point, and for different reasons.
And for different reasons. And you know, it's not only the people that all their children have moved out. We're seeing this with younger people that don't want to have the big house anymore and don't need the 4-bedroom homes.
They may not have as large a family.
That's right.
It may be a couple and their pets. And so we see, you know, those sorts of things where with the right room configuration, back to our floor plan and space allocation conversations, people can get a lot of use out of a well-designed 2,000 square foot home. Not these dead-legged old corridors and hallways that people used to have, and rooms that are isolated, but the right floor plan, even at 2,000 square feet, maybe give somebody budget for that quality conversation earlier. A little smaller, let's upgrade the things that are in it. We want it to look nice.
Absolutely. Remember, when you have that large house and you want to upgrade the floor, there's a bigger floor, so it's going to cost you more money.
Absolutely. Now, to wrap it up, point number 10 is talking a little bit about multi-family spaces or multi-generational spaces. And there's a balance of many people having multi-generational groups living together or staying together for periods of time in terms of longer term visits, and both the need for people to have their own spaces generationally, but also then having shared spaces that bring people back together, and having that kind of thought process in the floor plan is something that is outlined as a trend for 2022.
Sure, we've seen it where, you know, now that people can have more of an opportunity to work from home, they're coming down to a nicer climate, and they're maybe bringing their mom and dad with them.
And grandparents. We've seen people talk about 3 generations in one home, at least for part of the year. And so we have many more requests for people to figure out ways for different generations to exist in wings of a home or in some common spaces, and how those things come together can make a home more or less attractive to the buyers that we're seeing.
And we see even with brand new construction where they've come up with very creative ways to have that separate area, but still within the same shared space.
There you go. And so if these have sparked some thoughts in your mind, I'd be curious, leave a comment below. What are the trends that are important to you heading into 2022? Is there something that wasn't on our list? We'd love to hear more about it and have that conversation with you, so please do leave a comment. And if you found anything interesting in this video and thought-provoking, we hope you will give it a thumbs up and let everybody know that you like the video, and comment about what was helpful to you. And if you haven't already, we would ask you to consider subscribing to the channel. It does let us have the YouTube algorithm bring our information out to more and more people who are looking for these topics and trying to understand home choices, and particularly moving within or selling or buying in Southwest Florida. And we can help with any and all of those things. So
Absolutely.
please do subscribe and give it that thumbs up. And the other thing I would say as we wrap up, some of these trends remind me a lot of a conversation we had not long ago. And so in the upper right hand side of this video, look for our video on the top 5 home remodeling tips. That's what you need to watch next to finish this conversation, and we'll see you in that video.